Hello and welcome to our 2016-2017 school year. I'm very excited to be here with all my new AP in this training. We're going to be talking today about supervisory styles. So let's see what we have on the agenda today. We have our mission statement, and the goal for today's training. We're going to identify the marginally effective teacher. We're going to talk about the issues involved in supervision, matching supervisory style, and teacher level of development, and quadrants. We're going to talk about this. This is very important. This is the most important part of our training because we want to talk about in different situations we're going to have to take different actions. Not everybody needs to be supervised the same way. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We're going to talk about strategies of collaboration, strategies of directive supervision, and we're going to focus on instruction in the classroom. And we're going to try to sum it all up. Okay, so let's start with the mission statement, because everything we do in the school is geared towards achieving that mission. That's our goal. That's what we're going to do. So let's start with that in mind. The mission of Tennyson Middle School is to empower student success by providing a nurturing environment that inspires lifelong learning while using innovative technology to develop 21st century skills and fostering an appreciation for the arts. How are we going to achieve that? Well, we have to have quality instruction in the classroom. That's our goal. If there's no quality instruction in the classroom, there's not much that we're going to be accomplishing. So in order to do that, we have to make sure that we supervise the teachers and we're present in the classrooms to know what's going on, to ensure that there is quality teaching going on in our classrooms. So at the end of this training, all of you will be able to understand and implement different types of supervisory styles depending on the situation. And I cannot emphasize how important that is, because not everybody needs the same treatment. So let's start with the marginally effective teacher. Factors of full classroom performance. So who is the marginally effective teacher? We know the teacher that is effective all the times, and then we know the teacher that is never effective, or most of the time is not effective. And we usually focus our time on that teacher that is the most help, but there's always that teacher in the middle that is effective sometimes, that might not be, he's not where they need to be. He does what he needs to be doing while we're there in the classroom, but when we leave the classroom, something else happens. It's totally different. So that's how we're going to be focusing on that teacher right now, and that's going to be our example for today's training. So there are a couple of factors that determine poor classroom performance, and the two of those factors is the teacher level of abstraction and the teacher level of commitment. The teacher level of abstraction refers to, is a teacher aware of the problems that are going on in the classroom? Is a teacher committed to be in the classroom? Is he doing what needs to be done to improve? That's going to be our goals. And there are different factors in each one of those. It says, for example, in teacher level of abstraction, lack of experience, lack of knowledge, difficult solving problems, lack of awareness, and personal problems. So sometimes we have a new teacher, they don't know that they're having problems. They don't have that experience. They don't have a knowledge on how to improve their instruction. They don't definitely know how, and it's just that teacher that if you tell me what needs to be done, I'm gonna get it done. But I need you to tell me how to fix it. And we are to help that person. So level of commitment. Did you get burnt out? We've all been there. Self-centeredness. What is it in for me? Why do I need to make change? And is there anything that I'm going to get in return? Unwilling to change and fear of change. Some teachers have been doing the same thing over and over. That is really hard to try new things, because they're good at what they're doing. They might not be doing the best thing, but they're good at it. So it's that why am I going to change it? Why do I need to fix it if it's not broken? Again, and everybody has personal problems that has an effect on how effective the teacher is in the classroom. So let's move on. And the issues involved in supervision. The issues involve diagnosis. We'll talk about diagnosis, prescription, and timelines. Diagnosis is when we talk about what are we doing wrong, what needs to be fixed. So that will be the first. That's our start. We need to know what's going wrong so we can fix it. And once we know what is wrong, we have to ask ourselves how we're going to fix it. How can I do to improve my instruction? And we talked about timelines. We talk about how long is it going to take us to fix it. And we got to be reasonable in this. Not everything can get fixed in one day. Not everything has to take the whole year or 6 weeks. It just depends on the problem. So let's see. And we talked about quadrants. We talked about how I'm going to match the style, how I'm supervising my teachers depending on the teacher level of development. Where is my teacher? And who's going to be in control of the diagnosis, the prescription, and the timeline. So, for example, we're going to start right here in quadrant number 1. It says that for that teacher that has low commitment and low abstraction, we're going to be directive. We're going to tell them exactly what needs to be done. We're not going to be negotiating with them. We just got to tell them this is what's wrong. This is what needs to get done, and I need you to get it done by a certain time. So why are we telling? Because they have low abstraction, so that means they don't know that they have a problem. They're not aware of the problem that is being happening in their classroom, and the low commitment, they're not taking responsibility for what's going on. It's never their fault. It might be the student's fault, the social fault, the family. It's everybody's fault but the teachers. So we need to tell them and be very, very directive about this. So we're not going to be negotiating what needs to get done. In quadrant number 2, we have a collaborative type of supervisor. We have a high commitment, low abstraction. So what that means for quadrant number 2 is that the teacher takes responsibility on the actions. He or she knows that what's going on in the classroom is wrong, and he's willing to make a change. But the low abstraction means that he's not aware of the problem. So how can I fix it even though I want to fix it if I don't know that I need to fix it? So this is what we're going to be doing. So we're going to sit down with our teacher and I'm going to help this teacher realize the problem, and then because he takes responsibility, we're going to give him a chance to be also in charge, control of the diagnosis, the prescription, and the timelines. We're going to sit there and we're going to talk through this and say, okay, this is what I see. What do you think is happening? What do you think this is happening? We're going to come up to a conclusion together because he's willing to make that effort. Then if we go to quadrant number 3, we have low commitment, high abstraction. So the teacher is aware that there's a problem, but he doesn't take responsibility on that problem. It's not his fault. So you know there's a problem, but it's not your fault. It's the student's fault. And somebody said, I heard one time, like, are we going to blame the horse? Well, I think for this one, what is recommended, we're going to have a collaborative directive. So the teacher will be in charge of some stuff, but I'm going to tell him, I'm going to tell the teacher, this is what needs to be done. This is what I see that is wrong, and this is what needs to be fixed. And he is going to be, and we say that it's collaborative because the teacher is going to be in charge of the timelines. He said, well, by this date, it's going to take me to do, I'm going to fix this part, and then we're going to do that. So, and the quadrant number 4 is a high commitment, high abstraction teacher. What that means is that he is aware that there's a problem and he takes responsibility for the problem. So we're just gonna sit there and we're gonna talk about this is an effective teacher. So the teacher actually controls the diagnosis, the prescription, and the timeline because he wants to make a change. He just needs time, and sometimes it just takes a thing or two to get it what it needs to be. Why do we use different types of supervisory styles? Well, because my situation in number 1 is not the same as I have in quadrant number 4. Whereas quadrant number 4, I'm trying to improve the teacher because I know there can be a change. As in quadrant number 1, I don't know what's going to be going on with that teacher. Do I want to renew their contract? Do I want to terminate it? Does it have a solution? How much time do I want to fix and invest to fix this teacher? And if it's really going to be important. So we're going to make that choice and that decision as well. We're going to talk about strategies of collaboration, and they're all listed here. And one of the things that I see is the most important here, it's you have to consider to make a memorandum after each conference. We talked about it. We have to have certain documentation that we're doing what needs to be taken care of. You never know when you're going to use it. And oral directives they're not always, you always want to have something in writing. And if it's needed, you might consider to making an improvement plan for that teacher. But if we look at the strategies of directive supervision, we want to make sure that what we told the teacher that needs to get done is getting done. So besides the pre-observation conferences where we're going to sit down and say, this is what I'm looking for in your classroom. This is what I want to be happening. This is what wants to be happening in your classroom. And once we have an answer on supervision, we're going to talk, okay, this is what I told you I wanted. This is what I saw when I did. This is what's going on. This is what I see wrong. This is what you needed to do by this certain time. And then we have to have something in writing. We have to write a memo for each conference that we have with the teacher, just to make sure that everything that we told them that needed to be done is happening. That is important. That is crucial. We gotta remember, we don't know if we're gonna face non-renewal or termination for this teacher, and we're gonna create an improvement plan. We have to have something in writing in case something goes wrong. So basically, we have to make sure that when we visit a classroom, we do it. We're being reasonable. We have to have an objective reasoning. I'm not going to target one teacher and then say, I'm going to just get rid of you. It has to be more than that, because there's always disputes, and you can be told that it is harassment. So you're going to make sure that there is a reason why you're visiting and targeting that teacher, specific teacher, either because you have seen in previous classroom visits, you've been seeing deficiencies, things that are not there. We need to monitor that the teacher is doing what we need to be telling you, or it has a high failure rate, the students are not performing as well. If we're doing an entire class, that will mean like if we're trying to improve our math scores, every math class is being visited, not just that one teacher. We're good. So the topics that we talked about the quadrant, different types of style. I really hope you learn something from these. And again, we need to make sure that we are helping our teachers. It's not about just trying to get rid of any teacher. We're trying to help them improve. That is our main goal. We want quality instruction in our classrooms because that's what's going to make us succeed. Thank you.